There is a reason for the pain you experience in life, the hardships you suffer, and the tears you bury inside. Remember, no pain, no injustice, no loneliness in this world has happened to you by chance. My Lord has chosen this path not to make you smaller or less worthy than others, but on the contrary, to help you reach a strength, faith, and greatness that they cannot even imagine. The power fermenting in the depths of your heart is growing through trials that others cannot easily pass. I know sometimes you have questioned, why me? But now understand, each of those pains will take you out of the ordinary and carry you far beyond your own family, your own environment, even your past. The real story begins now. Your sufferings were the seeds of the heights you will rise to in the future. Now let everyone who hears this message know that every hardship you have suffered was not meant to defeat you, but to make you a bigger, stronger, braver person. Now get up, hold your head high, and leave those difficulties behind. Write 44 in the comments now. Don't just be a spectator, be a part of the story. With your support, we will become a giant family of 5,000 people. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us. Because you are someone destined for greatness. Imagine a seed buried deep beneath the soil, far from the sunlight, where no one can see its silent struggle. Down in the dark, it faces pressure, cold, and a world that doesn't yet know what's growing. Yet it's in that hidden depth, in the hush beneath the surface, that the miracle begins. In the same way, some lives are called to take root out of sight, in seasons of separation that don't make sense to those watching from the outside. The distance isn't just a gap, it's the underground chamber where destiny prepares its bloom. For certain souls, the journey is not a stroll down a paved avenue with applause on every side. It's more like crossing a quiet field at dawn, with only the whisper of spirit as their guide. That ache that settles in their chest isn't merely sadness over what's missing. It's a holy tension, a sign that life is being restructured beneath the surface. What once felt like punishment for being different, over time, reveals itself as a secret classroom. In that classroom, wisdom and resilience grow in the silence, and what looked like emptiness turns into a reservoir for tomorrow's harvest. Some are not handed their path by the crowd. They are sculpted by solitude, chiseled by nights of wrestling with questions no one else hears. Comfort for them is exchanged for calling. Old bonds are loosened not as an accident, but as a sacred pruning, trimming away what would have kept their roots shallow. In these hidden gardens, life's creator plants something uncommon. The very absence that others might mourn becomes the birthplace of a new way of seeing, a new way of serving, a new strength that cannot be taught, only lived. The world may call it misfortune to grow up missing a parent's arms or a familiar anchor. But in the economy of heaven, lack is often a secret passage to abundance. There are people who know what it is to ache in silence, and yet, through that ache, learn to listen for a voice deeper than memory. They become, slowly, the answer to questions no one else dared ask. They rise not because the world lifted them up, but because the ground beneath them insisted they reach for more. Sometimes, it's the ones who start out furthest from comfort who are entrusted with the richest portions of compassion, wisdom, and spiritual authority. Life is filled with winding roads, and not every traveler takes the route paved with family reunions and golden memories. Some are set aside, and though it may look lonely, it's anything but empty. In those sacred spaces of longing, new dreams begin to sprout. Every day becomes a kind of prayer. Every disappointment turns into a layer of fertile soil. The space once filled by what was missing, in time, becomes the place where God writes a new beginning. Hungry for timeless wisdom? Hit subscribe and feed your soul. For those living this story, it's easy to look around and feel unseen or misunderstood. But there is a purpose unfolding that's bigger than explanation. Just as a caterpillar is hidden away before its transformation, there are lives called to cocoon in obscurity so that wings can form in secret. The breaking away from what everyone else calls normal isn't failure. It's the forge where faith is hammered out and hope is refined. Over time, the one who felt left out comes to realize they've been set apart. No one can chart the depths of another's story, but heaven never loses track of a soul in the shadows. There is a divine gardener tending every solitary heart, nurturing every root, whispering, "You are more than what you lack." With every quiet sunrise, those roots push deeper, drawing up the strength to one day break the surface. What looked like years of waiting was really a gathering of power, a storehouse of spiritual nourishment waiting for its appointed time. In the places where comfort was denied, something better was offered: the chance to know God without filters, to recognize love that's not based on performance or the world's applause. These chosen ones become living proof that there is purpose in the pain and breakthrough in the barrenness. Every lonely night becomes a stepping stone, every unanswered question a pathway to revelation. Let the world measure worth by outward belonging or visible support. Heaven measures by the fruit that grows unseen, by the strength developed in silence, by the beauty that blossoms where no one expected. There is a holy dignity in walking a road others can't see, in carrying stories that are written not in crowds, but in communion with the Creator. And when the time is right, that seed, once hidden and pressed beneath the soil, bursts forth with life that blesses not only itself, but every field around it. So if you found yourself walking in the shadows, let this truth settle deep. Your journey is not a detour. It's a design. The discomfort, the longing, the sense of being different. It's not random. It's preparation. You're not just waiting to be found. You're being grown for a harvest the world is not yet ready to see. And when the season changes, all will marvel at what God grew in silence. An answer to prayers spoken and unspoken. A harvest worth every moment spent out of sight. Picture a master gardener who tends his field long before the first seedling ever pokes through the soil. Every stone he moves, every furrow he digs, has a purpose, even when it seems like nothing is happening on the surface. Life for some is a field prepared in the quiet, shaped by hands that see beyond the season. In this sacred ground, not everyone is given a cushion of moss and roses. Some are planted deep, surrounded by the kind of soil that demands every root grow strong to survive. The ache for what was never received, that hollow hunger for a mother's touch, a father's blessing, or simply a place to belong, can feel like an endless winter. But in the hands of divine wisdom, that very hunger becomes the chisel that reveals the beauty beneath. It is the quiet sanding down of every rough edge, the patient shaping of character when no one else is watching. The longing does not destroy, it sculpts. Where others were handed comforts on a silver platter, these souls are invited into a furnace that forges patience, humility, and an understanding that cannot be bought or taught. In this journey, what looks like loss is actually construction. Think of a house built to withstand any storm, not by accident, but by a builder who knows storms will come. The pain of being placed in unfamiliar places, stripped of the familiar, is not cruelty, it's preparation. The soul learns, often in the quiet hours, that the absence of comfort can birth the deepest kind of trust. The unfamiliar becomes a school for wisdom, a sanctuary where truth takes deeper root than could ever happen in an easy, untested life. For those called to a higher purpose, life sometimes looks like a puzzle missing too many pieces. There are seasons where the only certainty is uncertainty, and the only map is faith. Yet that very gap, the unanswered questions, the roads that seem to lead nowhere, becomes the channel through which purpose finds its way. While the world measures loss as something to be avoided, heaven sees it as a corridor to endurance. What was taken away often becomes the space where endurance is built and where a new, unshakable foundation is laid. Many are content with a story that circles the same mountain year after year, never straying from what feels safe. But for some, the journey is a mountain climb, with paths that twist away from the expected. At every turn, comfort is exchanged for calling. Every loss, every pruning becomes a holy architecture, each setback laying the beams of a legacy that will stand when the storms come. The easy path might give rest, but the path of endurance gives roots that reach into eternity. As seasons pass, the once painful absence begins to reveal its true purpose. What seemed like a door slammed shut is actually a window opening to higher possibilities. The soul, no longer content with borrowed dreams or second-hand identity, learns to reach for something only God can provide. A peace that holds through every storm, a vision that outlasts disappointment, a destiny that stands when others fall. So while some may look at their lives and mourn what was never given, there are those who come to bless the very ground that once felt barren. They realize that every sanding, every trimming, every rough season was a step toward becoming unbreakable. The wisdom that shapes these chapters doesn't rush, doesn't apologize, and doesn't make mistakes. Instead, it patiently builds a future out of what was once thought lost, weaving every unanswered longing into the pillars of a destiny that is made to endure. Can you spot the lesson in every legend? Subscribe and join the search. Let it be known, the path of the chosen is not marked by ease, but by endurance. What feels like an empty space is actually the blueprint for something holy and lasting. When comfort fades and the familiar is gone, faith finds its footing. And in that space, where longing met the hand of the sculptor, a life is formed that can weather any season, built not for applause, but for legacy. Imagine the night sky just before dawn, how the darkness seems at its heaviest, but quietly, the first hints of morning begin their work beneath the horizon. There's a holy stillness in that hour, a calm so complete that it almost sings. It's in this sacred hush that the roots grow deepest. The tree doesn't stretch its limbs by shouting at the storm, but by sinking quietly into the earth, drawing strength from what cannot be seen. Many know what it is to reach for comfort and find only the cool air, to listen for encouragement and hear nothing but the sound of one's own breathing. These moments are not voids, but secret workshops. Here, something far more precious than reassurance is being forged. Instead of applause, there's an anointing. Instead of easy answers, a deepening resolve. In that silence, a higher wisdom settles in, the kind that cannot be borrowed from another's journey. Being alone, in the world's eyes, may look like lack, but heaven sees a seed being encased, surrounded on every side by purpose. What looks empty is actually brimming with preparation. The quiet becomes a well, where courage is drawn up, bucket by bucket, until it fills the soul with enough strength for whatever assignment lies ahead. It's in the hush, when there are no hands to hold, no voices to soothe, that true confidence is poured in by the Creator himself. The applause fades, the crowds move on, but the ones called to carry a mantle that outlasts a single season find themselves being built from the inside out. Every quiet night, every unanswered question, every moment that felt like wandering is really a pilgrimage to the heart of faith. And the stillness, far from being punishment, is where a new language of strength is learned, one that equips not just for survival, but for shepherding others through their own dark nights. So the next time the world is silent, and there's no one to turn to for reassurance, remember the garden that grows in the shadows. That is where the roots are going down, where the branches will soon rise, and where the story God is writing is not just about getting through. It's about carrying others into the dawn. In the hush, strength is not just found. It is multiplied, sanctified, and set apart for a purpose only heaven can measure. Life is like an artist carefully painting a masterpiece. Every brushstroke has purpose, even when it doesn't seem to make sense at first. Those misunderstandings and tensions that felt like spilled paint or mistakes weren't errors at all. They were intentional touches, masterfully placed to bring depth and beauty to the canvas of a soul's journey. What appeared as conflicts or disappointments were actually invitations to discover something far deeper, a gentle strength born in quiet moments, a grace found in unexpected places. When relationships become strained, it's easy to feel invisible, as though our worth is hidden behind clouds of confusion. Yet behind that veil of uncertainty, something extraordinary takes place. The heart begins learning a powerful lesson in letting go. Like releasing a handful of seeds into fertile ground, we relinquish our grip on what we hoped others might be, planting trust instead in a greater promise. This isn't surrendering to despair, it's stepping into freedom. It's about allowing life's challenges to refine us, not define us, and knowing that there's wisdom hidden within the moments that don't go according to our plan. In those moments when the world misunderstands and peace feels distant, a quiet transformation occurs. The sharp edges of pain and frustration become softer, reshaped into understanding and empathy. It's not about denying reality or ignoring what has happened. It's about reshaping pain into wisdom. It is the rare gift of converting hurt into something healing, transforming wounds into wisdom, and disappointments into determination. Over time, what initially felt like rejection or abandonment becomes clearer. These moments are not punishments, but opportunities. They're spaces created for the heart to expand, to become capable of holding greater compassion, and to build resilience that ordinary comforts could never nurture. When forgiveness replaces bitterness, when peace replaces turmoil, the spirit learns to fly higher than circumstances, no longer bound by the opinions or judgments of others. Think of how a pearl is formed deep inside an oyster. A tiny grain of sand causes irritation, discomfort, even pain. But through patience and endurance, what was uncomfortable is slowly transformed into a treasure of incomparable worth. Similarly, what once felt hurtful, those misunderstandings and difficulties become precious pearls of character and strength within our hearts. They become treasures that reveal our true worth and purpose. Even in times of misunderstanding, we're never truly alone. There is a divine presence guiding each circumstance, shaping us into vessels of grace, wisdom, and deeper love. Those painful conversations, those lonely nights, and those unanswered questions were never wasted. They have prepared us to rise above limitations, to stand firm in truth, and to offer healing to others who walk similar paths. When relationships fracture or dreams crumble, remember, it's not destruction, it's preparation. It's a divine sculptor's hand gently chiseling away what's unnecessary, allowing the true beauty and strength within to emerge clearly. This transformation equips us to touch others, speak truth with gentleness, and inspire hope where others see only despair. It's easy to hold on to anger, but true strength is found in letting go. To let go isn't weakness, it is profound strength. It's choosing freedom over chains, peace over bitterness, and hope over heartache. It's trusting that every trial has purpose, every difficulty leads to growth, and every ending is really a new beginning in disguise. In this quiet release of bitterness, a powerful healing occurs. The soul becomes light enough to rise above the storms, strong enough to endure the trials, and humble enough to serve others selflessly. This process doesn't erase pain. It transforms it into something sacred, a strength that empowers rather than weakens, that heals rather than harms. This quiet strength doesn't demand recognition or applause. It shines in silent moments of compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. It's the hidden force that turns conflict into connection and trials into triumphs. It brings warmth into cold places, light into dark corners, and hope into moments of despair. What was once confusing and painful becomes clear. Every misunderstanding, every challenge was a stepping stone towards something greater. Each conflict provided a deeper understanding. Each disappointment prepared the heart for joy, and each moment of feeling unseen taught the soul how to truly see others with compassion and love. In the end, this journey of letting go, of choosing gentleness over bitterness, transforms our lives into stories of hope, redemption, and purpose. It makes us examples of grace, strength, and wisdom. It positions us not only to heal our own wounds, but to become instruments of healing for others. So when life feels uncertain or relationships seem impossible, trust that every moment is guiding you towards something remarkable. Every misunderstanding is a bridge to deeper understanding. Every conflict is refining your character, and every painful moment is leading you toward a greater peace. Your life isn't simply being tested, it's being carefully shaped, lovingly prepared, and beautifully transformed. Embrace the quiet lessons hidden in moments of misunderstanding and conflict. Welcome them not as enemies, but as teachers sent to awaken your true strength. Allow them to guide you toward a deeper peace, a richer joy, and a stronger faith than you ever imagined possible. Remember, every tear you've shed is watering seeds of purpose. Every moment you felt alone has prepared you to stand stronger. Every conflict has sharpened your ability to bring harmony to others, and every misunderstanding has deepened your wisdom, preparing you for a higher calling. You are not defined by difficulties, you are refined by them. You are not diminished by misunderstanding, you are empowered by the lessons hidden within. You are not broken by conflicts, you are built stronger, wiser, and kinder because of them. So stand tall, knowing every difficult moment, every challenge, every misunderstanding is preparing you for something extraordinary. Your story isn't one of defeat, it's one of triumph. It's a testimony of how divine purpose transforms pain into power, struggle into strength, and brokenness into beauty. You are being shaped into someone extraordinary, someone whose life will inspire others. Your strength will comfort those in pain. Your wisdom will guide those who feel lost, and your compassion will heal those who feel forgotten. This quiet, powerful transformation happening within you is not accidental. It's intentional, purposeful, and divinely guided. You are becoming a beacon of hope, a vessel of grace, and a living testimony of the power of perseverance, forgiveness, and love. Life is like a garden, and sometimes the master gardener chooses to transplant certain flowers, lifting them carefully from familiar soil and placing them where the sun shines brighter and the rain falls softer. At first, this shift can feel unsettling, like being uprooted from everything comfortable and known. But what may feel like disruption is actually divine repositioning, a heavenly adjustment preparing the flower for a new season of unprecedented growth. Don't just read the stories, experience them. Subscribe and step inside. Family ties, precious and deeply woven as they may be, sometimes loosen their grip, not because of failure, but because a greater plan is unfolding. In those moments, when familiar voices become distant and traditional comforts fade away, it's not a sign of abandonment, but rather a clear signal that one is being called higher. These seasons of distance aren't punishments, they're sacred invitations from God Himself, gently prompting the spirit to develop a unique strength that can only emerge in solitude. In the eyes of the world, separation often suggests loss or defeat, but heaven sees differently. Heaven understands that a seed planted deep beneath the earth appears lost to the surface, yet within the darkness, a miracle is taking place. Roots begin to grow silently, hidden from sight, becoming stronger, reaching deeper. Just as the seed must be concealed underground before it breaks forth into the light, certain seasons of separation are necessary for spiritual breakthrough. They prepare the heart, fortify the soul, and equip the spirit for a harvest beyond imagination. Family distances might feel painful, especially when explanations are absent. Questions without immediate answers can feel burdensome. But these unanswered questions, rather than barriers, are gateways to trust. They open the door to reliance on something higher than human understanding. Instead of weakening the soul, this uncertainty fosters a unique strength, a quiet courage that grows confident, not because all is known, but because faith assures that there is divine purpose behind every unspoken word, every missed connection, every moment of silence. Sometimes, what seems like a painful withdrawal of affection or approval from loved ones is a divine redirection. Human approval is beautiful, but it can also be fleeting. Approval from others can be a pleasant comfort, yet it rarely has the power to sustain through life's most profound trials. The greatest strength comes not from endless affirmations of others, but from discovering an identity firmly rooted in God's unwavering love. A person who learns to stand confidently in divine approval finds a stability no worldly validation could ever provide. The experience of family ties loosening is also an opportunity to understand the depth of heavenly attachment. Earthly relationships often form the framework through which love is first understood. Yet when human relationships fall short, it's not a deprivation, but rather a divinely ordained moment designed to guide the heart toward the eternal, unchanging love of the Creator. Through earthly gaps, the soul begins to perceive the perfect consistency of divine affection. Affection that does not waver with circumstance or fluctuate with emotion. When close connections seem distant, it's not merely an ending, but often a sacred new beginning. These separations can signify a call to a higher journey, preparing the individual to enter places and purposes that typical relationships might limit or misunderstand. The world might see the distance as weakness or dysfunction, but spiritual eyes perceive it as preparation for a calling that ordinary circumstances cannot contain. Each moment of distance becomes a stepping stone, leading upward toward a purpose uniquely designed by heaven. What once was called loneliness is now known as the sacred laboratory of growth. In the quiet places where expectations fall away, new capacities blossom, distractions fade, and what remains is a direct connection to the source of all peace, a companionship that goes deeper than any earthly tie. These seasons of being set aside become classrooms for listening, spaces where one's vision sharpens for the journey ahead. There comes a time when the past's grip is gently loosened, not to diminish love, but to make space for a different kind of purpose. The tears that fell along the way water the seeds of a mission that could never have flourished under the weight of what was. Every ache becomes a note in a new melody, every empty place a doorway to deeper compassion, every unanswered prayer a step closer to living out the fullness of the design that's been waiting all along.